So you
Yeah.
both became community members and still are community members, although Rob, you've got a complicated relationship with Penrhyn that's gone another step now. So we'll come back to that. So you've been community members for, well, you've been a community member now for 2 years, Lianne, since you came out, and so. And Rob, tell us where you're at, because that journey didn't just stop at becoming a community member, of course, with Penrhyn, did it?
No, it was complicated start coming back because there was, and I can't blame anybody at Penrhyn, even though I did at the time. There was an element of trust on what my intentions actually were.
Yeah, of course.
Because everyone, and they probably generally did think I was just playing on Lianne.
Yeah, of course.
And obviously they had the safeguarding issue of a resident, and I can't blame them. And they were just doing the job. And there was a few hurdles in place about me accessing as a community member. I was only allowed to. I had to kind of go through a process and a time period of me proving myself that I actually was there for recovery. And I was only allowed to turn up for the meeting and then having to leave straight after. So, and I was lucky enough. One of the first meetings I did attend when I made the step back in, I found a sponsor in one of my first meetings, and I just said, "Please, I want like we always say, I want a bit of what you've got, yeah. Take me through the work. This is it. I'm done. And from that point, I just set out and I was doing all the things that I didn't want to do last time, yeah. And I was putting 110% into it.
And we've arrived at a point. Yeah, go on. Sorry, carry on.
I just wanted to prove everyone wrong. That was my initial drive. And it's not always the best way to do things, but it did work for me. And everything my sponsor was asking me to do, I was doing it, and nothing was going to stop me. And
we've arrived at this immensely what I think is a peculiar, but I think it's a great situation, and I think it proves that recovery communities can do things differently, and given the right context, we can support change in people. Because today in Penrhyn, you've gone from being the suspicious male potentially trying to exploit Lianne or make use of Lianne, if that's how someone was interpreting you, like to actually being a member of staff in Penrhyn, which I think is like, and I'm convinced that couldn't happen in a more traditional or statutory organisation. That potential to, as you described it, prove yourself. Yes.
Yeah, and I think a lot that staff transition came about because through working the steps and working recovery, I found my true self. I dropped all this pretense that I wanted to be, Jack the lad, the likable lad, the drug dealer type, that facade, and I just dropped it all and concentrated on finding my purpose.
And how on earth has that been for you, Lianne? Because that's a strange journey. You start both as being relapsed community members stepping back in. You're being told by the people that are helping you that actually, yes, we acknowledge that you want this relationship with Rob, but we're not convinced it's necessarily the most healthy thing. You've just relapsed together. The organisation is reeling, as Rob says, from difficulties of other, shall we call them, unhealthy relationships between combinations of either staff or individuals in recovery. And then you've gone through this whole period when, somehow your support network is now also the place where your partner works. How's that been for you over those 2-year periods and navigating those changing perceptions, I guess, yes? And still needing the support yourself in all of that, yes?
Yeah, the beginning, it was frustrating what people were saying, and as people talk, but you've got to get past that. And once you start concentrating on yourself and putting your recovery first, things start to follow and follow in the footsteps, and just do your own thing, and you just get. Do you know what? It was just getting involved in that community and carrying on, keeping our street clean and carrying on. And you've got to let what other people think. You've got to let other people's opinions not matter and just concentrate on what's important.
And we often think of you as, I don't know if you've if anyone's ever reflected on this, but you're actually the exception that proves the rule in a sense, yes? And it makes it so difficult for recovery communities when couples like you do so well together. It tells lots of other people they think that can happen as well. And of course, it doesn't usually succeed. It does the opposite, yes? One cracks on and one doesn't crack on, or vice versa. Yes.
Yeah, it's a tough one, that, and especially when you deal with when we now sponsor other people.
Yeah.
And they can possibly come up to us and say, what's your how do you feel about me getting in a relationship? And we're like, ooh.
Yeah, ooh.
We have to advise them, in the best possible way. Yeah. And we have to be honest and say, don't look at us as a benchmark, you know what I mean? And it's not very fortunate.
Because I found out a lot of people say, but you work, but I always advise, if our sponsors don't get especially females, don't get in a relationship in the first year, and don't look at other people, what they're doing. Just concentrate on your own journey. That's the most important, and to get that self-love, because that's the most important. Like they're looking for that love from someone else instead of getting that self-love, finding it in yourself.
And what we really need, I think you've hit the nail right on the head. If we could advise people at all, it's self-love first, it's community love second, and then maybe it's intimate love third. And if you can do them in that order, it's probably the safest of the three orders in a way. Yeah, learn to love yourself, then let other people tell you that they love you too. And then, I have to be immensely grateful for the two of you just sharing some of that story about being a couple, because it's an unusual bit.